I'm Emma Hartley, 32 years old. For 15 years, my affluent parents used me as their personal housekeeper, while my younger sister Nicole lived like aristocracy. Every celebration, every social event, I labored in the kitchen while she charmed visitors. But last New Year's Eve, when my mother insisted I prepare food for 30 of Nicole's prestigious contacts with merely 24 hours warning, something within me finally broke. What transpired next didn't merely transform our household dynamics. It revealed a truth that left everyone, including a corporate executive, absolutely stunned. Let me transport you back to that January evening when everything shifted. I was in my Boston apartment, methodically arranging garments into my luggage when my phone rang. The display showed Mother, and I already anticipated this wouldn't be pleasant. In our Massachusetts family residence, holiday ornaments gleamed on every surface. I knew because I'd been the one placing them annually since I was 16. "Emma, abandon whatever trivial plans you have for tomorrow," my mother Catherine said without greeting. Her tone carried that recognizable commanding quality that permitted no disagreement. I continued folding my business jacket. "What's occurring tomorrow?" "Nicole's hosting her business network for New Year's Eve dinner. Very influential people, Emma. 30 guests, including administrators from Summit Corporation." She paused, and I could practically sense her smirk through the device. "You'll need to arrive by 11 to begin preparations. 8 main courses, 12 sides. The menu's already arranged." My fingers tightened on my phone. Nicole's business network. Naturally, my younger sister worked in marketing and never missed an opportunity to remind everyone how connected she was. "Mother, I have. Your sister's making significant connections that benefit this household. You should be grateful to assist." Her words stung like they always did. "It's not as though you have anything else occupying your time." I glanced at my laptop where a message from Amanda Liu, CEO of Summit Hospitality Group, displayed on the screen. If only my mother understood. "Use the premium dishware," she continued. "These aren't your typical crowd, Emma. These are people of substance." People of substance. Unlike me, apparently. "I'll text you the menu," she said. "Don't humiliate us." The line disconnected. I looked down at my airline ticket to Miami. Departure time: 7 p.m. tomorrow. My hand wasn't even trembling anymore. After 15 years of this, I'd finally learned the distinction between their emergency and my priority. I sat on my bed, memories flooding back like a bitter wave. 15 years of being invisible except when they required something. Every Thanksgiving since I was 16, Emma will manage the cooking while Nicole entertains our visitors. Every New Year's, Emma's between positions again, but at least she's useful in the kitchen. Every family gathering where Nicole was introduced as our accomplished daughter in marketing, while I was simply "Emma's here too. She's assisting." The last family celebration had been the worst. Nicole's promotion party, 200 guests at the yacht club. I'd spent 16 hours preparing appetizers while Nicole held court in a $4,000 gown our parents purchased for her. When one of the guests inquired what I did for employment, my mother had actually laughed. "Emma doesn't have Nicole's interpersonal skills, but she prepares food well." I stood up and walked to my closet, retrieving my second suitcase. Inside, carefully protected in a leather portfolio, was the contract that would change everything. My company's name, Stellar Hospitality, was embossed in silver at the top. I'd deliberately chosen a name that didn't include Hartley. For 6 years, I'd built my enterprise in silence. 60 employees across 4 locations. A client roster that included premium resorts and Fortune 500 corporations. And tomorrow, while my family expected me to labor over their stove, I had a meeting that would secure a $3 million contract. My phone buzzed. Nicole's text. "Mother says you're cooking tomorrow. Don't ruin it. Influential people will be there." I looked at my airline ticket again. Flight 552 to Miami, departing at 7 p.m. Not this time, I whispered to the empty room. For once, they'd have to manage themselves. I had a plane to board. The irony wasn't lost on me as I continued packing. Two obvious signs had shown me exactly where I stood in this household, and I'd ignored them for too long. The first sign was how they introduced me. At last month's yacht club dinner, my father had literally told his tennis partner, "Nicole's our success story. Emma's between opportunities." Between opportunities. I'd finalized a $600,000 contract that very morning, but to them I was perpetually unemployed, perpetually failing. They never inquired about my work, never wondered how I afforded my Boston apartment or my new vehicle. Their assumption was so complete that when I mentioned traveling for business once, my mother had laughed. "What business? Are you calling your little cooking hobby a business?" Now the second sign was even more obvious. Last spring, I'd visited home to find my childhood bedroom had been converted into a storage area for Nicole's excess wardrobe. My awards, my books, everything marking my existence in that house boxed up in the attic. Nicole needed the space, my mother had explained as if it were obvious. She's building her career. Image matters in marketing. Meanwhile, Nicole had been given the entire fourth floor, renovated at our parents' expense, complete with a home office and walk-in closet. The message was crystal clear. One daughter was an investment. The other was invisible. I zipped my suitcase closed, remembering the company celebration last week. My employees had thrown me a surprise party for landing the Summit account. 60 people who saw my value, who respected my leadership. My phone lit up with another text from Mother. "Don't forget the saffron. These people have sophisticated palates." These people. As if I didn't regularly cater events for CEOs and celebrities. But why would she know? She'd never asked. The deepest wound was that they'd never even been curious. Not once in 6 years had anyone in my family asked, "So, Emma, what exactly do you do all day?" They'd created their own narrative. Poor Emma can't maintain employment. Lives in a tiny apartment. It was actually a 3-bedroom condominium. Probably surviving on savings from grandmother. I'd invested that money into my business. At least she can cook. I employed 4 executive chefs. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my photos. There I was shaking hands with the governor at a charity gala I'd catered. There was my team celebrating our 4th location opening. There was the feature article about me in Hospitality Quarterly, the quiet revolutionary of luxury catering. None of these moments had been shared with my family. I'd learned early that success without their permission was somehow threatening. The one time I'd mentioned landing a major client, my mother had immediately pivoted to Nicole's latest marketing campaign for some beverage company. "At least you're useful in the kitchen," she'd said, patting my hand like I was a child who'd drawn a particularly nice picture. I opened my laptop and looked at my company dashboard. Stellar Hospitality. Established without a penny from my parents, built without the Hartley name, thriving without their approval. Tomorrow's revenue alone would exceed what Nicole made in 8 months, but they'd never know that. My assistant had texted earlier. Business Journal wants to feature you in their 35 under 35 issue. They're especially interested in your story of building the business without family support. Without family support. If only Business Journal knew the half of it. My family hadn't just withheld support. They'd been actively blind to my existence beyond their kitchen. My phone buzzed with a calendar reminder, and reality hit me like cold water. If I stayed silent and played the servant tomorrow, I'd lose everything I'd worked for. The Summit Hospitality contract wasn't just another deal. It was the deal. $3 million, exclusive catering rights to their 6 Miami resorts, and a partnership that would put stellar hospitality on the national map. The meeting was January 2nd at 8 a.m., non-negotiable. Amanda Liu, Summit CEO, had been crystal clear. I'm flying back to Singapore on the 3rd, Emma. If we don't finalize this in person, the board will go with our second choice. Our second choice. My competitor, who'd been circling this contract like a predator. But it wasn't just about the money. 60 employees were counting on me. Rosa, my head chef, had just purchased her first home based on the expansion this contract would bring. Daniel, my operations manager, was planning to relocate his family to better schools. This wasn't just my dream anymore, it was theirs too. I pulled up my bank statements. Yes, I was successful, but this contract would change everything. It was the difference between being a regional success and becoming a national player. The kind of opportunity that comes once in a career. My phone rang. It was my CFO. Emma, just confirming you'll be at the resort tomorrow evening for the pre-meeting dinner with Amanda's team. I'll be there, I said, looking at my packed bags. Excellent. Amanda specifically mentioned she's excited to meet the CEO who built such an impressive company without any family money or connections. She said it's rare to find that kind of authentic success. Without family money or connections. If she only knew how true that was. My phone pinged with an email from my mother. The subject line: Urgent New Year's Eve menu. My stomach turned as I opened it. 8 main courses, 12 sides, dietary restrictions for 6 guests, wine pairings, dessert selection. The level of detail was staggering. She'd planned every single dish, every garnish, every serving plate. Use the baccarat crystal and the silver with the monogram, she'd written. These are important people, Emma. One of them is Amanda from Summit Corporation. She could be valuable for Nicole's career. I nearly dropped my phone. Amanda Liu was going to be at my parents' house. I quickly scanned the guest list my mother had attached. There it was, clear as day. Amanda Liu, CEO, Summit Hospitality Group. My heart raced as I processed this impossible coincidence. The same woman I was meeting in Miami was going to be at my parents' house, expecting to be served by their unemployed daughter. Another text from Nicole popped up. Mother says Amanda Liu will be there. She's huge in hospitality. I'm hoping to pitch her on marketing services. Don't embarrass me with your amateur cooking. Amateur cooking. I just catered Amanda's company retreat for 600 people last month, though we'd handled everything through my executive team. She'd never met me in person. That was scheduled for tomorrow. I sat down hard on my bed, the weight of the decision crushing me. Stay and serve the woman who was about to make me a millionaire, pretending to be a failure? Or leave and risk my family's wrath, but secure my future? My transportation notification popped up. Your ride to Logan Airport is scheduled for 5:30 p.m. tomorrow. I looked at the menu again, then at my contract, then at my airline ticket. The choice had never been clearer. I made my decision. I picked up my phone and dialed my mother's number. She answered on the first ring. Finally. I was starting to worry you weren't taking this seriously. Mother, I can't do it. Silence. Then her voice turned sharp. What do you mean you can't? I have a business trip. I'm flying to Miami tonight. Don't be ridiculous. Her voice rose. What possible business could you have? An important meeting. She actually laughed. Emma, stop being selfish. Your sister needs this. Nicole has access to a full catering team she could hire. With what money? Do you know how expensive that is? I bit my tongue. The irony of her asking me about catering costs while talking to someone who owned a catering company was almost too much. Family comes first, she snapped. Or are you too selfish to understand that? I understand perfectly. Family comes first when you need something from me. How dare you? When's the last time you asked about my life, Mother? We know about your life. You're between jobs, living in that tiny apartment. I'm a CEO. Another laugh, this one cruel. A CEO of what? Your imaginary company. It's not imaginary. I have 60 employees. Emma, enough with the fantasies. Nicole needs this. You owe us. I owe you. We raised you, fed you, kept you in our home, while treating me like hired help. You're being dramatic. What else do you have to do? Sit in your apartment alone on New Year's? I looked at my business class ticket. I have a flight at 7 p.m. Cancel it. No. If you leave, don't bother coming back. The threat hung between us, the same one she'd used so many times before. Usually it worked. Usually I caved. Then I guess this is goodbye, I said quietly. You can't be serious. I'm done being the family servant, Mother. I'm done being invisible until you need something. You ungrateful. Hung up. My hands were shaking, but for the first time in 15 years, it wasn't from fear or anger. It was from freedom. My phone immediately exploded with texts from Nicole. What did you just do? Mother's having a meltdown. Stop being so dramatic and get over here. I turned off my phone and continued packing. They'd figure it out. They always did when they had to. I turned my phone back on to set one thing straight. It rang immediately. Emma, what is wrong with you? Nicole screeched. Mother's calling all the relatives saying you've lost your mind. I have a business meeting on New Year's Eve. Stop lying. I'm not lying. This is about that stupid fight last month, isn't it? When Mother gave me your room. My room was converted to your closet years ago, Nicole. And no, this is about my actual career. What career? You cook sometimes. I own a catering company. Sure you do. Her voice dripped condescension. Look, I'll pay you to cook. How's $300? I almost laughed. My day rate for personal chef services was $7,000. Not that she'd ever know. This is non-negotiable, Nicole. I'm not coming. Mother will disown you. That's her choice. You're really going to ruin New Year's. Ruin my networking opportunity. Amanda Lou will be there. Then hire a caterer on New Year's Eve. Are you insane? No one's available. I walked to my kitchen counter where I'd left a notepad earlier. On it, I'd written 4 catering companies that handled last-minute emergencies, along with their 24-hour hotlines. It was more than they deserved, but I wasn't completely heartless. I left a note on my kitchen counter with some numbers. I'm not driving to Boston to get your stupid note. Then search for emergency catering services. You're being selfish. I'm being professional. My business requires me to travel. What business? She screamed. Stop pretending you're something you're not. The transportation notification popped up. Your driver will arrive in 3 hours. I have to go, Nicole. If you do this, you're dead to us. I'm already invisible to you. What's the difference? I hung up and turned off my phone completely. On the kitchen counter, I placed the note with the catering numbers in clear view, just in case they somehow came by. Next to it, I left a copy of my business card, the one that read, Emma Hartley, CEO, Stellar Hospitality. They wouldn't come. They wouldn't see it. But at least I'd know I tried to help, even as I chose myself for the first time. The plane lifted off from Logan at exactly 7:09 p.m., and I finally exhaled. Below me, Massachusetts disappeared into a blur of lights. Somewhere down there, my mother was probably frantically calling every relative, painting me as the ungrateful daughter who abandoned family on New Year's. I pulled out my laptop and opened the summit contract one more time. There it was, Clause 18.2. CEO presence required for all strategic planning sessions. Amanda had insisted on that clause herself, saying she only worked with founders who were hands-on. My email inbox showed 23 new messages from Amanda's team, all confirming tomorrow's schedule. The pre-meeting dinner at 6 p.m. The formal presentation at 8 a.m. on the 2nd. The contract signing immediately after, pending board approval. I clicked on Amanda's latest email. Looking forward to finally meeting you in person, Emma. I've been following Stellar Hospitality's growth for 3 years. Your reputation precedes you. My reputation. If only she knew that the same woman she was about to partner with was supposed to be serving her dinner at my parents' house right now. A text from my assistant came through the plane's Wi-Fi. Business Journal wants to know if they can mention your family background in the article. They're interested in the built from scratch without family support angle. I typed back. Tell them the article runs January 3rd, correct? Yes, it goes live at midnight on the 2nd. Perfect timing. By the time my family realized who I really was, the contract would be signed and the news would be public. I pulled up the draft of the Business Journal article they'd sent for approval. The headline read, "From Invisible to Invaluable. How Emma Hartley Built a Catering Empire Without a Dollar of Family Money." The universe, it seemed, had a sense of humor about timing. The Summit Resort suite took my breath away. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the Atlantic, and a bottle of champagne waited on ice with a handwritten note. "Welcome, Ms. Hartley. Looking forward to our partnership. Amanda Liu." I set down my bags and checked my phone. 53 missed calls from my mother, 21 from Nicole, even 4 from my usually silent father. I deleted the voicemails without listening. Instead, I opened my email to find something that made me smile. My PR manager had sent the final proof of the Business Journal article with a note. "They've moved you to the cover story. It'll be on every newsstand January 3rd. Cover. My photo. Professional, confident, nothing like the invisible daughter my family knew, would be on Business Journal's cover. The article detailed everything. How I'd started with $7,000 saved from waiting tables. How I'd built the company without investors. How I'd specifically chosen to succeed without trading on my family's connections. Another email caught my eye from Amanda herself. "Emma, I'll be arriving late to tomorrow's dinner. Coming straight from a social obligation in Massachusetts. Hope that's all right." Massachusetts. She was at my parents' house right now, probably wondering where the promised elaborate dinner was. My assistant texted again. "The Business Journal reporter wants to know if you'll mention your family's reaction to your success." Thought about it. Tell them my family will find out when everyone else does. When the magazine hits stands. That's cold, boss. I love it. I walked to the window, watching the waves crash against the shore. In 13 hours, I'd sign the biggest deal of my career. In 40 hours, my face would be on every Business Journal magazine in the country. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's success they never saw coming. While I slept peacefully in my Miami suite, chaos reigned in Massachusetts. According to the texts I read the next morning, the disaster had unfolded exactly as expected. By 5 p.m. on New Year's Eve, my mother had realized I wasn't coming. The kitchen remained pristine and empty, the refrigerator stocked with only basic ingredients, and 30 hungry guests were arriving in an hour. Nicole's panicked texts told the story. "Mother's losing it. She's calling every restaurant in a 60-mile radius. Everything's closed. How could you do this to us?" My father had finally texted at 6:30 p.m. "Your mother is having a breakdown. Please reconsider." At 6:55 p.m. sharp, the guests had started arriving. Investment bankers, marketing executives, and most importantly, Amanda Liu, CEO of Summit Hospitality Group. They came expecting an elaborate home-cooked New Year's Eve dinner, the kind my mother had bragged about for weeks. Nicole's text at 7:18 p.m. "We're ordering pizza. Pizza, Emma. Do you understand what you've done?" At 7:41 p.m. "Mother just told everyone you're unreliable and always have been. She's blaming you for everything." The pizza had arrived at 8:07 p.m. 6 boxes of Mario's and 4 from Antonio's because one chain couldn't handle the last-minute order. My mother, who'd spent weeks bragging about her daughter's elaborate cooking, had to serve delivery pizza on her Baccarat crystal. Nicole's increasingly frantic texts painted the picture. Amanda Lou looks disgusted. People are leaving. Mother told everyone you're mentally unstable. She said you've always been the family disappointment. The last text from Nicole, sent at 9:28 p.m. Party's over. Everyone left early. Amanda Lou didn't even stay for dessert. Mother says you're dead to her. I put down my phone and ordered room service breakfast. In 4 hours I'd be having dinner with Amanda Lou. I wondered if she'd mention the disaster at my parents' house. I wondered if she'd recognize my last name. Most of all, I wondered what my mother's face would look like when she learned the truth. The pre-dinner meeting at Summit Resort was scheduled for 6 p.m. I arrived early, wearing my best suit, ready to close the deal of my lifetime. What I didn't expect was Amanda Lou walking in with a story to tell. "Emma," she greeted me warmly, though she looked tired. "I have to apologize for being late. I just flew in from the most bizarre New Year's Eve party in Massachusetts." My heart rate stayed steady. I'd practiced for this moment. "Oh, what happened? You won't believe this." She sat down, shaking her head. I was invited to what was supposed to be an elegant dinner party. The hostess, Catherine Hartley, actually, same last name as you, funny coincidence, had promised this elaborate meal prepared by her daughter. I nodded, saying nothing. We arrived to find absolute chaos. No food prepared, empty kitchen, and the hostess scrambling to order pizza. Pizza. For executives and business owners she'd been trying to impress for months. That must have been awkward. It gets worse. She spent the entire evening bad-mouthing her older daughter, calling her unreliable, mentally unstable, a disappointment to the family. Apparently, this daughter was supposed to cook everything but just disappeared. Amanda pulled out her phone, showing me a photo someone had taken at the party. There was my mother, face flushed with embarrassment, pizza boxes visible on her precious mahogany table. The younger daughter, Nicole, kept trying to salvage things, but it was a disaster. She actually tried to pitch me marketing services while serving Marios on china plates worth more than most people's rent. "Did you stay long?" 25 minutes after the pizza arrived. The hostess was so busy making excuses and blaming the absent daughter that she forgot to actually host. It was. Amanda paused, searching for words. The most unprofessional evening I've ever experienced. The woman actually said her daughter was too incompetent to hold a real job, so she usually just cooked for them. My hands remained steady on my portfolio. That's terrible, isn't it? I can't imagine treating family that way. Amanda opened her menu. "Now let's discuss something more pleasant. Your incredible company." The next morning, January 2nd, I stood in Summit's boardroom, ready to present to Amanda and her team. The contract was on the table. The presentation was flawless. And everything was going perfectly until Amanda's assistant walked in with a tablet. "Ms. Lou, you need to see this. There's a photo from that Massachusetts party going viral on LinkedIn." Amanda took the tablet, and I watched her face change from curiosity to confusion to complete shock. She looked up at me, then back at the screen, then at me again. "Emma," she said slowly, "this photo from the Hartley house in Massachusetts." She turned the tablet toward me. Someone had posted a family photo from my parents' wall. The one from last Thanksgiving where I stood in the background, barely visible, while Nicole posed front and center with our parents. "Is this you?" He nodded. "Yes. Hartley. Catherine Hartley is your mother." "Yes." The room went completely silent. Amanda's team exchanged glances. The legal counsel put down his pen. "The woman who called you unreliable, mentally unstable, and unemployable is your mother?" "Yes." Amanda stood up, walked to the window, then turned back to face me. "You were supposed to cook that dinner. The one that turned into a pizza disaster." But I was here meeting with you. You chose your business over being treated like a servant." I did. Amanda pulled up something else on her phone. Your mother said you don't have a job. That you're a failure who can only cook. She doesn't know about stellar hospitality. Your own mother doesn't know you're a CEO? She never asked. Amanda sat down heavily. Let me understand this. Your family has no idea that you run one of the most successful catering companies on the East Coast. None. They don't know about your 60 employees. Your 4 locations. This $3 million contract we're about to sign. They think I'm unemployed and living in a studio apartment. Amanda's business partner Richard spoke up. I'm sorry, but I need clarification. The woman serving pizza on Baccarat Crystal last night has no idea her daughter could have catered that entire event with 5-star quality. She's never asked what I do for a living. She just assumes I'm a failure. Amanda started laughing. Not a polite chuckle, but actual genuine laughter. Oh my God. She spent the entire evening complaining about her disappointment of a daughter. And that daughter is you. The CEO I've been trying to partner with for 3 years. She looked at her team. Gentlemen, I think we're about to sign the most interesting contract of our careers. Amanda pulled out her phone again, this time opening a search engine. I have to know something, she said, typing my name. The search results loaded instantly. Oh my God. She turned her phone toward her team. Look at this. The first result was my hospitality quarterly feature. The second was the announcement of my Michelin Guide recognition. The third was a financial post piece about women entrepreneurs. Your family doesn't know about any of this. Before I could answer, her assistant rushed in again. Ms. Liu, you'll want to see this. Business Journal just announced their 35 under 35 cover story for tomorrow. He projected it onto the boardroom screen. There I was, professional headshot front and center with the headline, From Invisible to Invaluable. How Emma Hartley built a catering empire without $1 of family money. Amanda read the preview aloud. Hartley, 32, built stellar hospitality from a $7,000 investment into a multi-million-dollar enterprise, deliberately avoiding any family connections or support. I wanted to prove that success doesn't require a famous last name or family money, Hartley states. She looked at me. This goes live tomorrow at midnight. Tonight. Your family still doesn't know. They will when everyone else does. Richard whistled low. Your mother is going to see her unemployable daughter on the cover of Business Journal. Amanda's assistant was now scrolling through the article preview. It says here you have a 9-month waiting list for events. Is that true? 10 months for peak season. Amanda stood up. I need to make a phone call. She stepped out of the room, and we could see her through the glass talking animatedly on her phone. She returned 7 minutes later with a strange smile. I just called Catherine Hartley. My stomach dropped. You what? I told her I was very disappointed in last night's event and that I'd be taking my business elsewhere. She begged me to reconsider. Said it was all her older daughter's fault. Amanda. Then I told her I'd just signed a $3 million contract with the most talented entrepreneur I know. Yastu. I said, your daughter, Emma Hartley, CEO of Stellar Hospitality. The room was silent. The sound she made, Amanda continued, was like all the air had been sucked out of her lungs. Then she hung up on me. My phone, which I'd kept on silent, showed 53 missed calls in the last 4 minutes. All from my mother. Amanda extended her hand across the table. Ms. Hartley, let's sign this contract. I believe we have a partnership to celebrate. As I signed my name on the $3 million contract, my phone lit up with a text from my father. Your mother just collapsed. What the hell is stellar hospitality? The contract was signed, champagne was poured, and my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. I finally excused myself to check the messages. Mother. Answer your phone now. Nicole. Is this some kind of sick joke? Father. Your mother is hysterical. Please call. Nicole. Amanda Lou just told everyone you're a CEO. Mother. This is cruel, Emma. Pretending to be successful to humiliate us. I walked back into the boardroom where Amanda and her team were still celebrating. My family thinks I'm lying about being a CEO. Amanda's eyes gleamed. Would you like me to send them something? Before I could respond, she was taking a photo of me with the signed contract, the summit executive team, and the champagne. She typed quickly and hit send. I just posted it on LinkedIn, she said. Tagged Stellar Hospitality, Summit Hospitality Group, and Catherine Hartley of Massachusetts. The post read, "Thrilled to announce our partnership with Stellar Hospitality and their brilliant CEO, Emma Hartley. Her company's excellence in luxury catering will elevate Summit's guest experience across all properties. Amazing to work with someone who built their empire from scratch." Within minutes, the post had dozens of likes and comments. Industry leaders I'd worked with for years chimed in with congratulations. Previous clients shared their experiences with Stellar Hospitality. My phone rang. Nicole. I answered on speaker with Amanda's permission. This can't be real. Nicole's voice was shaking. It's real. You've been a CEO this whole time. 6 years. Why didn't you tell us? You never asked. You all assumed I was a failure and treated me accordingly. Mother's having a breakdown. She's calling all her friends trying to explain. Everyone saw Amanda's post. That's not my problem anymore. How can you be so cold? I looked at Amanda and her team. All successful professionals who'd never once questioned my worth. I'm not cold, Nicole. I'm done. I'm done being invisible until you need a cook. I'm done being the family disappointment. I'm done pretending to be less than I am to make you comfortable. But we're family. Family doesn't treat each other like servants. Call me when you're ready to meet Emma Hartley, the CEO. Not Emma the cook. Hung up. Amanda raised her champagne glass. To boundaries. We all toasted, and for the first time in my life I felt truly seen. That evening I finally called my mother back. She answered before the first ring finished. How could you do this to us? She was crying. Actually crying. Do what exactly? Humiliate us. Amanda Lou told everyone at the yacht club about your company. People are calling asking why we didn't know our own daughter was successful. You never asked about my life, Mother. We asked. We knew you cooked sometimes. You assumed I was a failure. For 6 years you've introduced me as unemployed. You've never once asked about my work, my apartment, my life. You should have told us. I tried. Remember 4 years ago when I mentioned landing a major client? You immediately started talking about Nicole's marketing campaign for some beverage company. You literally said, "That's nice, dear, but Nicole's work is really taking off." Silence. I left catering numbers on my counter. I continued calmly. You could have saved the party. We don't have keys to your apartment. You've never asked to visit my apartment. You don't even know where I live. That's not. Mother, I employ 60 people. Have 4 locations. I've been featured in multiple publications. I was recognized by the Michelin Guide. And you thought I was unemployed because that was easier than actually seeing me. We're your family. My family needed a servant. My business needed a CEO. I chose my business. This is about spite. No, Mother. This is about self-respect. I've built something amazing and I did it without any of you. Not your money, not your connections, not even your belief in me. What do you want from us? Nothing anymore. That's the point. For the first time in my life, I need absolutely nothing from you. Emma. The Business Journal article comes out at midnight. You might want to prepare yourself. It details exactly how I built my company without family support. You told Business Journal about us? I told Business Journal my truth. If that embarrasses you, maybe you should think about why. I heard my father's voice in the background. Catherine, maybe we should listen. I'm done listening, my mother snapped at him, then to me. You've destroyed this family. No, mother. I finally built my own life. Call me when you're ready to be part of it. As equals, not as master and servant. I hung up gently, feeling lighter than I had in years. The social consequences came swift and brutal, but not for me. Within 48 hours of Amanda's LinkedIn post, my family's carefully curated reputation had crumbled. The yacht club gossip mill was working overtime, and Nicole's panicked texts told the story. Summit just cancelled our marketing contract. Amanda Liu said they don't work with people who lack integrity. That was a $600,000 annual loss for Nicole's firm. Mother got removed from the charity board. They said it was unrelated, but everyone knows. Father's tennis partners are asking him how he didn't know his own daughter was a millionaire. The Business Journal article had gone viral in our Massachusetts social circle. The headline alone, "Built without a dollar of family money," was damning enough, but the quote that really destroyed them was buried in paragraph 4. My family assumed I was unemployed. It was easier to build an empire in silence than to fight their assumptions. My father finally called me directly, something he hadn't done in years. "Emma, I need to say something." Waited. "I knew you were doing something with catering. I saw the business registration years ago when mail got mixed up. But your mother was so certain about who you were supposed to be. I should have spoken up. I'm ashamed." It was the most honest thing he'd said to me in 15 years. "Why didn't you?" "Yes. Because it was easier to let her narrative stand than to fight it. I see now that made me complicit. Your success is remarkable, and we missed it because we weren't looking. Father, your mother's lost 4 charity positions. Nicole's firm is hemorrhaging clients. Everyone wants to know how we could treat our successful daughter like hired help while praising Nicole for mediocre marketing work. I never wanted to hurt anyone. You didn't hurt us, Emma. We hurt ourselves. We created a story where you were the failure and Nicole was the success. And now everyone can see we were blind." He paused. "That pizza disaster is already yacht club legend. Catherine Hartley, who bragged about her entertaining for years, serving Marios on Baccarat Crystal while her CEO daughter was signing million-dollar deals. Despite everything, I felt a twinge of sympathy. Father, I don't apologize, we earned this. Every single consequence. While my family dealt with their social catastrophe, my life exploded in the best possible way." The Business Journal article had included a photo of me at the summit signing, champagne in hand, surrounded by executives who valued my work. The contrast to my family's Thanksgiving photo, where I lurked in the background like hired help, wasn't lost on anyone. Within a week of publication, Stellar Hospitality received over 250 inquiries. High-end clients who'd been on the fence suddenly wanted to work with a CEO who built an empire from scratch. My inbox was flooded with interview requests, speaking engagements, and partnership proposals. Amanda Liu became my biggest champion. She introduced me to her network, telling everyone the story of the New Year's Eve disaster with barely concealed glee. "Imagine," she'd say, "having a golden goose in your house and treating it like a servant duck." 4 major contracts came from those introductions alone, worth a combined $12 million. I hired 25 new employees to handle the growth, promoting Rosa to executive chef and Daniel to Z. During our expansion meeting, Rosa said something that stuck with me. "You know what I love most about this company? You built it for people who were overlooked. Half of us were told we'd never amount to anything." She was right. I'd unconsciously hired people like me, talented individuals who'd been dismissed, overlooked, or underestimated. My assistant forwarded me a text from a producer. "Your story is everywhere. Culinary Network wants to discuss a documentary. Working title: Invisible to Invaluable. the Emma Hartley story. But the best moment came when I received an invitation to speak at the Culinary Institute. My dream school, the one my parents had said was too ambitious for me. The topic: building success without permission, creating your own path in hospitality. As I reviewed my speaking notes, my phone buzzed with a text from my mother. "We need to talk, please." I looked at it for a long moment. Then I archived it and went back to planning my future. Success, I'd learned, was the best response to disrespect. But boundaries were the best gift I could give myself. 4 months later, I agreed to meet my family at a neutral location, a quiet restaurant in Boston, my territory. They looked different, smaller somehow. My mother had lost her imperious edge, Nicole her smugness, and my father seemed to have aged years. "Before anyone speaks," I said, setting down a single sheet of paper, "these are my terms." They leaned in to read. 1. Equal respect or no contact. 2. No more servant treatment. Ever. 3. Public acknowledgement of my success. 4. Genuine apology, not just words. 5. Therapy. Family and individual. "This is non-negotiable," I continued. "I'll be your daughter, not your servant. Your sister, not your staff. Those are my terms." My mother's eyes filled with tears. "Emma, we've lost everything. My reputation. Nicole's clients. That's not my responsibility, Mother." "We know." My father interrupted. "We're not here to blame you. We're here to ask for a second chance." Nicole spoke for the first time. "I was jealous. You were always better at everything, but Mother made me feel special by making you feel small. I see how sick that was now." It was the most honest she'd been in years. "I go to therapy now," she added quietly. "The therapist says we created a family system where someone had to be the scapegoat for everyone else to feel successful. You were assigned that role before you could even fight it." My mother reached across the table but didn't touch me. "I'm sorry. Not just for New Year's Eve, but for 15 years of blindness. I turned you into a servant because I couldn't bear that you might be more successful than the life I'd planned for you." I looked at each of them. "I'll consider it. But know this, I'm not coming back to the same family. If we rebuild, it's as equals." They nodded. "And Mother, you're paying full price if you ever want Stellar Hospitality to cater anything." For the first time in months, she actually smiled. "Fair." 7 months later, I hosted my first family dinner in my actual apartment, the 3-bedroom condominium with a view of Boston Harbor that they'd never known existed. My team from Stellar Hospitality catered it, because I no longer cooked for family gatherings. That was a boundary I'd never cross again. As my parents and Nicole sat at my dining table being served by my employees who called me boss, the role reversal wasn't lost on anyone. But this wasn't about revenge. It was about truth. "I want to be clear about something," I said, raising my glass of wine. "Success doesn't need permission. Self-worth doesn't require validation. And respect is non-negotiable." My mother nodded. She'd been in therapy for 5 months and had publicly apologized at the yacht club, admitting she'd been blind to my success. It didn't repair her reputation, but it began to repair our relationship. Nicole's marketing firm had pivoted, and she'd asked, professionally, humbly, if Stellar Hospitality might consider her for our marketing needs. I told her to submit a proposal like everyone else. She did, and it was good. We were considering it. My father had become my unexpected ally, finally finding his voice after years of silence. He now introduced me as my daughter, the CEO, with genuine pride. But the biggest change was in me. I no longer hid my success or dimmed my light to make others comfortable. My company had grown to 120 employees with locations in 6 cities. The Culinary Network documentary had aired to critical acclaim. And every single morning I looked in the mirror and reminded myself, I'm Emma Hartley, CEO of Stellar Hospitality. not the family servant. Never again. Your value doesn't decrease based on someone's inability to see your worth. Remember that. The wedding took place in Catherine's garden, the one she'd tended for 40 years. Daniel Miso walked me down the aisle. Not because tradition demanded it, but because he'd become like family. You know, he whispered as we walked, Grandma Catherine used to say she prayed for people like us before we even existed. She said she asked for family, and the universe sent her the best kind. I looked at the 60 guests gathered. Every single person someone who'd chosen us, not someone obligated by blood. Rosa sat in the front row with her children. 4 other foundation employees were there, their families present. My fiancé's parents, who'd welcomed me without hesitation. My staff from the restaurants, who'd become more than employees. Do you ever wonder, Daniel asked, what your life would have been like if they'd valued you? I looked at my fiancé waiting at the altar, at Daniel beside me, at the life I'd built. Never, I said. Not once. The ceremony was simple. We wrote our own vows. My fiancé promised to continue supporting the leader I'd become and the person I was. I promised to build a life worthy of those who'd believed in me. When the officiant said, "You may kiss," the entire garden erupted in cheers. At the reception, Daniel gave a toast. To those who taught us that family is a verb, not a noun. It's something you do, not something you are. He raised his glass. And to Emma. Not the person who gave her DNA, but the person who gave herself everything else. 2 years passed. Stellar Hospitality expanded to 4 more locations. We'd helped 340 young culinary professionals. 15 had graduated from top schools. 31 had started their own businesses. 12 had become educators. All of them had become family. I became Regional Director of Hospitality for the entire Northeast at 34. My techniques were being taught in culinary schools worldwide. I was writing my 2nd book. And me. I ran 6 restaurants, managed a $20 million foundation, and had finally learned to sleep without wondering if I was enough. One afternoon my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Emma Hartley. A woman's voice. Official. Yes. This is Karen Morrison from Pleasant Valley Assisted Living in Springfield, Massachusetts. I'm calling about Catherine Hartley. She listed you as next of kin. My heart didn't race. My hands didn't shake. I'm not her next of kin. She made that clear 15 years ago. I understand this is complicated, but she's had a stroke. She's asking for you. Is she dying? Was. Not immediately, but her prognosis isn't good. Then she has time to think about the choices she made. Goodbye. Hung up. My fiancé looked at me from across our living room. Your mother? Yes. Do you want to go? Thought about it. Really thought about it. About forgiveness and closure and all those things people say you need. No, I said. I already have closure. I gave it to myself 15 years ago when I chose my business over being their servant. My fiancé nodded. Your call. Always. The phone rang 3 more times that week. Different numbers. I didn't answer. Then a letter arrived. My father's handwriting, still precise after all these years. I burned it without opening it. Some conversations are already finished. Daniel found me in my office, where I went when I needed to think. The assisted living facility called me, he said, sitting beside me. About Catherine Hartley. I know. Do you want me to? No. You don't owe her anything. Neither do I. He was quiet for a moment. I'm not angry at them. Is that weird? No. You can't miss what you never had. Exactly. You're my family. Rosa's my family. This company is my family. That's my family tree. Complete. She's dying, Daniel. Everyone dies. But not everyone lives. She didn't. Not really. She existed in fear of what people thought. You lived. despite everything, you really lived. Out of the mouths of young professionals come the wisest words. 4 months later, my fiancé handed me an obituary from a Springfield newspaper. Catherine Hartley, 73, passed away peacefully at Pleasant Valley Assisted Living. She is survived by her husband, Thomas Hartley, and her brother, Michael Hartley. No services planned per her request. No mention of a daughter. No mention of a grandson-in-law. Even in death they maintain the lie. How do you feel? My fiancé asked. Grateful, I said. That I found myself before they destroyed me completely. I didn't attend any memorial. Neither did Daniel. We'd mourned that relationship 15 years ago. There was nothing left to grieve. A year later, Thomas Hartley died of a heart attack. Alone in that guest house in Springfield. Nicole found him 4 days later. Apparently, they'd remained in contact, 2 failures commiserating. Nicole sent me an email. I saw the subject line. Your father. I deleted it without reading. Daniel asked once if I ever regretted not reconciling. Regret requires believing I had a choice, I said. They made their choice in 2004. I just honored it. Today would have been Catherine's birthday. She would have been 94. We don't celebrate it anymore. Instead, we celebrate the anniversary of stellar hospitality. The day I chose myself over being invisible. 300 people gathered at our flagship location. Every employee we'd helped. Every life we'd touched, because I decided that my worth wasn't determined by people who refused to see it. Daniel brought his partner, Dr. Jennifer Wu, a pediatric specialist he'd met during a consultation. She was brilliant, kind, and we loved her immediately. She understood that our family was built differently, and she wanted to be part of it. Your grandmother would have loved her, Daniel whispered to me as we watched Jennifer playing with the employees' children. She already does, I said, though I meant a different grandmother, the one who'd never existed. Rosa, now our chief culinary officer, was there with her family. Dr. Rodriguez, I said, hugging her daughter who'd just finished medical school. How does it feel? Like coming home, she said. Like everything you promised was real. At sunset, we raised glasses of champagne, celebrating another year of success built on respect, not obligation. Daniel stood to speak, something he did every year. Emma Hartley taught me that the strongest bonds aren't made of blood. They're made of choice, of showing up, of respect that doesn't require permission. He looked directly at me. You were thrown away at 16. But you weren't garbage. You were a seed. And you gave yourself soil and sunlight and room to grow. Now look at this garden you've grown. 300 people. Thousands of lives changed. All because one woman chose herself. The crowd applauded, but I was looking at our company logo on the wall, remembering why I'd built this. As the evening ended, my fiancé took my hand. Daniel and Jennifer stood beside us. Our family. Built not by biology but by choice. She never knew what she had, my fiancé said quietly. I know. Somewhere in the darkness I could almost hear a voice, not Catherine's but my own. Be free. Be valuable. Be seen. And I was. Finally, completely, eternally free.